Hello and welcome back to CLOWNFISH TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and it's just me for this video because Kneon is elsewhere. So today we're going to talk about some stuff going on with eBay. A couple things actually. One, we have about 800 roles or 6% of its workforce going to be laid off. So more layoffs. Probably it said strategic priorities, which probably means AI. And then we're also going to talk about the fact that the same time this news is coming out, there's a lawsuit being settled by a couple who sued eBay after executives and employees harassed them back in 2021. And some people went to jail over this. And I guess the lawsuit was going to, like the court hearing was going to happen next week. And they actually settled ahead of that. So before we get into any further, please like and subscribe. If you do, I'll give you a woohoo. And also I want to mention, please go out over to Kickstarter and check out the Ginger Rage Geeky Sparkles enamel pins. I promise my eyes don't actually look like that when I get angry, but you can buy a pin and pretend that they do. There's 6 more days to go, and thank you everybody who's backed it so far. There are some other pins available. I believe the witch is gone. There might be some more of the Christmas one. If you still missed it again, don't worry too much, because I think closer, like till summer, later in the summer, we'll start releasing these sets again and maybe add some new ones. But you can get at least the geeky pin now. So please check that out. And we're back to this. Yeah, eBay made news a couple times today. First time we're going to talk about with the layoffs, because that was my main focus originally until I found out about this whole mess up of a lawsuit, which is insane. Like, these people are getting sent by executives live bugs, like, you know, a book about how to get over your spouse being dead and stuff like this. And there was a whole huge lawsuit that I somehow missed. But back to the layoffs. eBay is laying off about 800 people. 6% of its workforce, so more layoffs in tech. Just keeps happening over and over again. And of course, guess why? AI. They said the job cuts are occurring across the company are a result of its push to focus strategic priorities. Online marketplace has been investing heavily in AI. And the problem again with AI is that AI is not ready to take over people's jobs the way that these companies and investors think it is. You still need oversight. You still need people to double check it. We've seen it time and time again. AI messes up. It shits the bed. It false flag stuff. I know, like, I was trying to sell original art from the Shadowbinders books, and this was on Etsy. And Etsy, their AI flagged it as being copyright stolen, even though I own the copyright to it. And no matter how many times I tried to get it reversed, they're basically like, well, the AI has spoken. Well, the AI is wrong. Can I just talk to a person? You know, I can prove that I own these things. But it's all this AI. We're seeing it on, YouTube with people getting their accounts, suspended for AI infractions that aren't real. We're seeing it across the board. I mean, you try to get a hold of somebody, talk about a bill, and it's just AI BS, and you can't even get into somebody, and they just don't answer your questions. They don't help you. People get frustrated and give up, which is like what they're counting on. AI is great in some situations and works well, and eventually it'll do better. But right now it's not there, and you always need people. And then my next thing to these companies, I'm going to ask the same question I've been asking you since this all started. You get rid of all these people for AI, right? So they don't have jobs anymore. And if everybody's getting rid of everybody to be replaced with AI, they don't have jobs anymore, who's going to buy your shit to keep your company in business? You're going to reach peak. You're not going to have anybody left that's going to buy your stuff. So you're going to collapse anyway. It's just you're going to hasten your demise. It's really stupid. This is another reason I'm not on board with AI as like Kneon is. And even then, he's like, it's a tool and that's it. So yeah, they're going to lay off 6% of its workforce. And this is the latest round of layoffs. We are taking steps to reinvest across our business and align our structure with our strategic priorities, which will affect certain roles across our workforce, an eBay spokesperson said. Was it AI? We are grateful for the contributions of the employees impacted. We're still going to fire your ass. And we're committed to supporting them with care and respect. What does that even mean? These companies all say that. We're grateful for all the stuff you did, but now we're going to replace you with AI, and we're going to treat you with care and respect. What part of you're losing their jobs? A lot of them don't even give them stuff when they leave. Is care and respect. They say that, but what exactly are you doing to show care and respect? That's what I want to know. They said the company has 12,300 employees worldwide as of the end of last year. And eBay reached a settlement, and they're talking about the Massachusetts couple, which we're going to talk about that. We're not being told what the settlement is, but it's going to be a lot of money. And they said they're trying to continue to trim its head count, while at the same time spending more on artificial intelligence. Again, we're finding all kinds of problems with AI, security issues, mistakes, all this stuff. And these companies just keep wanting to do it because they're going to save money and they're going to make all this money that they're going to get to keep. And investors, as soon as they hear there's AI and people are getting fired, the stock goes up. And that's great. Except, what if the AI does something that like puts you in a security breach that you end up sued out the wazoo for? What if the AI goes amok, someone hacks the AI and steals everybody's information? And you're going to have to answer for all that. There's a lot of things here that can go wrong with AI too, and you're just not looking at it fairly. So they're trying to get larger, faster, and beat Amazon and Walmart and Etsy. Well, it's not going to be hard to beat Etsy. Etsy's kind of a crap show. TikTok Shop, Temu, and Shein. Listen, Temu and Shein are Chinese garbage. So you're not going to have much trouble beating them. It's going to depend what it is. Even though I bought clothes from Shein and they weren't bad. Amazon and Walmart, they're like different beasts though, because a lot of people go to eBay because they're looking for things that you can't find on Amazon or at Walmart. They're going to eBay to find those old toys or collectibles. They're going to eBay to find, things like they can't get other places, old fashioned. You go to Etsy sometimes for that too. And let's not mention Mercari and places like that. That's what eBay is for. Like, I can't see people. When I think eBay, I don't think of it in the same vertical as Amazon and Walmart. Yeah, sometimes you can get new stuff there, but a lot of times people already went and bought it from Amazon and Walmart and they're marking it up on eBay. It's really not the same thing. So they announced they're going to acquire Etsy's secondhand clothing marketplace, last week, which, yes, they're going to buy their secondhand market for clothing because, eBay has been pushing the commercials. Oh my God, it annoys my daughter so much. Last year I was all glam and goth. And this year I'm, retro 90s grunge. And I'm like, nothing about what you're wearing is grunge. You got a flannel and that's it. And I'm like, I was there, you ain't it. But these commercials are really annoying and they kept pushing them like mad. You probably know what I'm talking about. So now they're going after that crowd. They said the deal should give eBay a leg up with consumers under the age of 34. Trust me, those commercials were geared to people under the age of 34. My kids would have been demographic target demo, and they thought they were stupid ass commercials, just so you know. They're talking about how eBay, they verify the authenticity of the pieces. And I mean, that's cool. You should, especially like if it's designer stuff. But it's like sometimes the things you're verifying are just stupid. But they're gonna buy this other secondhand clothing marketplace to go after Gen Zs and late millennials, and they're gonna lay off a bunch of people. All right, so this is not, but I think it's a combination of AI and they're trying to buy up other companies and expand other areas. They said their fourth quarter earning report last week, gross merchandise volume from focus categories grew more than 60% year over year. Yeah, because people go to eBay to find stuff they can't find anyplace else. I believe that. So if you're growing, why the fuck are you getting rid of a bunch of workers for AI, and most likely, which is probably going to bite you in the ass. And I think people are going to be a little more leery about shopping there because a lot of people are really anti-AI. But beyond that, I think as more and more stories come out where AI is like leaving openings in where like hackers are going in and getting stuff, or stuff being leaked, or different things are happening due to AI access, I don't know if that's going to make people more secure in using you, especially what if they do something that what if the AI thinks they did something as a seller and they get rid of all their stuff and said that they did something bad, they can't sell on eBay anymore, even though they did nothing wrong. It's a tricky situation. But the other situation that is coming out at the same time, and I don't know if they're trying to announce this, thinking it would get buried by the other story, because the other story is a doozy. So maybe they're hoping the layoffs get buried. But there's a huge lawsuit, and a couple settled this week because I guess it was going to go to trial like in a week or so. And I'm sure that was eBay settled because it must have been pretty damn bad. So the couple harassed with live bugs and bloody pig mask settles eBay lawsuit. So in 2021, basically there was a woman who ran like a newsletter. The couple is seeking money in both compensatory and punitive damages in the hundreds of millions, okay? 466 million in punitive. And here's what happened. So they said there was a coordinated effort to intimidate, threaten, kill, torture, terrorize, stalk, and silence them by sending disturbing and threatening packages to their home. So apparently they ran e-commerce bites, which is an online newsletter that published coverage of eBay executives allegedly viewed as negative or critical in August 2019. So they put up a newsletter. They said they didn't, I think it was some of their pay packages. They were critical of them. So then the executive leaders at eBay thought it was a great idea to direct at least 7 employees to stop them from further publishing. And 2 leaders allegedly telling them, I want to see ashes as long as it takes whatever it takes. Okay. This ended up with horrific, vicious, and sickening conduct that led to criminal charges against 6 former employees by the Massachusetts U.S. Attorney in office in 2020. A 7th employee was separately charged, and most defendants pled guilty to the charges, including conspiracy and cyberstalking, and were sentenced to prison terms or home confinement. One executive described as a ringleader ended up getting 57 months in federal prison. So if you go out here, you can see more about this. They have a list of the people that were charged. eBay's former senior director of safety and security was arrested and charged by criminal complaint. eBay's former director of global resiliency was arrested. Different defendants were arrested. They have different ages. Former senior manager, global intelligence. Former manager, eBay's global intelligence center. eBay contractor who works as intelligence analysis, former senior manager of special operations for eBay Global Security, and they were charged with conspiracy to commit cyberstalking, conspiracy to tamper with witnesses, and make appearances in federal court. They alleged that in August 2019, after a newsletter published an article about litigation involving eBay, okay, so it was litigation, 2 members of eBay's executive leadership team sent and forwarded text messages suggesting it was time to take down the newsletter's editor. And in response, these different people, the names here, and others allegedly executed a 3-part harassment campaign. Among other things, several defendants ordered anonymous and disturbing deliveries to the victim's home, including a preserved fetal pig, a bloody pig, a Halloween mask, a funeral wreath, a book on surviving the loss of a spouse, and pornography that was addressed to the newsletter's publisher but sent to the neighbors' homes. The second phase sent private Twitter messages and public tweets criticizing the newsletter's content and threatening to visit the victims themselves. The document alleges that them and another eBay security employee planned these messages to become increasingly disturbing, culminating with doxing the victims. And the very same group intended then to have Gilbert, a former Santa Clara police captain, approach the victims with an offer to help stop the harassment that the defendants were secretly causing in an effort to promote goodwill towards eBay, generate more favorable coverage in the newsletter, and identify the individuals. So they were going to send all these threatening things and pretend to be a police officer to help them, that eBay was helping them so they would be nicer to eBay. The third phase of the campaign allegedly involved covertly surveilling the victims in their home and community. The software developer, this one person registered for a software developer conference to go to Boston and allegedly drove to the victim's home several times. And then at one point they were trying to break into the victim's garage and install a GPS tracking device in their car. In protection, in case they were stopped, they arrived carrying false documents reportedly to show they were investigating the victims as persons of interest who had been threatened by eBay executives. The victims spotted the surveillance, however, and notified the police, who began to investigate. They learned that one person rented one of the cars used by the defendants and reached out to eBay for assistance. This is batshit insane. Batshit insane. So then they said, this back to the USA Today article. They said employees sent a barrage of bizarre items: live spiders, cockroaches, a bloody pig mask, a funeral wreath, a book entitled Grief Diary, Surviving Loss of a Spouse, addressed to David particularly, pornographic magazines, we said that, addressed to him but with addresses of the neighbors so that they'd get it. They were accompanied by obscenity-filled graphic online messages, escalating to posting their home address we talked about, death threats online, Craigslist inviting the public to the home for non-existent sex parties and yard sales. Holy shit. The stalking came to a head when it moved offline. How did it even get that far? That's what I want to know. It came to a head then? It had to go that far? They said they'd talk about driving to their house, circling their neighborhood, tailing them. At least 3 boys were accused of attempted to break into the garage. The online retailer's then CEO was accused in court and documents of telling another executive to take her down, referring to Mrs. Steiner. Shortly after Steiner's article was published, he avoided criminal prosecution but stepped down as CEO in 2019. Okay, so that's why he stepped down. eBay's then senior director of safety and security was sentenced in 2022 with 5 years in prison. The other people, all management level employees, were federally charged. eBay was charged criminally for 6 felony offenses, including stalking and evidence tampering, and agreed to pay $3 million penalty. The company engaged in a absolutely horrific criminal conduct. Yeah, no shit. The people did not respond to requests for comment. But they did post a victim statement to their website announcing a civil suit. So, as a result of the civil suit, it was settled. So eBay must have figured that they're going to lose. So they're settling the lawsuit with eBay. eBay probably figured they're going to lose. And then the fact that they wanted to announce this layoffs, and they either figured the layoffs would distract from the court ruling, or the court ruling would distract from the layoffs. But given the time that the information came out at the same time, I think one was meant to hide the other. You take your guess of which is which. Because holy shit. Wow. But they treat their employees as they get rid of them with what I say again, it was care and respect. Are you giving them as much care and respect as you gave people who were critical of your company? Damn, I'm making this video. What am I going to get in the mail? Yeah, I have to ask. Anyway, I can't even wrap my head around this insanity. What do you think about all this? Please comment and let us know. Like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.